So, in the summer of 2016, when all of the weird clown stuff was happening, me, my little sister, and my mother went on a road trip to see my grandparents. Now at this point we're headed back home, and we stop at a gas station around 6 a.m. Still very dim outside. My sister and I are dead asleep until I heard my mom leave the car. So I wake up and I'm really groggy, but suddenly my attention is jerked to its maximum capacity when I hear a horrifying, pitchy laugh that didn't even sound real. In that moment, I thought I was lucid dreaming or something like that, until I snapped back to reality. So I sat up 90 degrees and looked out the windshield, and there was this man with a red balloon, dressed up very similarly to the original Pennywise, but dirtier and cheaper. I watched in actual fucking disbelief as he went from person to person, laughing in people's faces. He went up to a little girl, probably like 6 years old, and her mother pinched her cheek, got up in her face and said something along the lines of, "Hey princess, wanna be my friend?" And when the mom hit him and screamed at him to get the fuck away, he started maniacally laughing again. Then he skipped over to my mom's car, saw me inside, literally shaking under my blanket, pressed his face up against the glass really hard, and started pointing and laughing at me. I pulled the blankets above my head, but I could still hear him laughing his ass off. I swear I heard him trying to jiggle the door handle a few times as well. The only thing that sent him away was the same mother of that little girl yelling at him and threatening the police. I heard him leave, so when I sat back up, I saw him skipping away, and he was still fucking laughing. It almost sounded like gagging at this point. I mean, the dude was losing his mind. Later that day, honestly like 45 minutes after he left, we came across an active missing persons search in a forest by the road, not too far away from that gas station. I have no idea if he was involved, but I remember riding by and feeling like it could have easily been me and my sister. I was 15 then. I'm 19 now. I'm a 19-year-old dude and I love horror stories, gore, scary stuff, ghost hunting, blah blah blah, but the details of this weird-ass experience have never left my mind. Although I was really upset at the time, I'm glad I have an interesting story to tell. But it's really scary to think about what could have happened if the doors weren't locked or something else. Makes me nauseous every time. So yeah, insane laughing clown man who basically made out with my mom's car window. Let's not meet again. When we were younger, we all played in the front part of the woods. We never really ventured too far back. This was just our play area for years. Never had an issue or a scare. This area was a pretty well-lit wooded area. Anyhow, one day my brother Jimmy, my best friend Sarah, and my brother's best friend Ian were all building a dam in the middle of the small creek that ran through the park and woods. The boys decided that they were going to head back to Ian's house for some snacks. Sarah and I said we would stay and finish our camp area. As we're moving rocks around, I get a very odd feeling come over me. A strange feeling that we're being watched. I immediately think it's the boys trying to scare us and just continue what we are doing. Sarah and I load up some big rocks and head back to the creek, and I put them down at the dam. I get that feeling again, and as I stand up, I see something straight in front of me about 30 feet away. I can't clearly make out what it is yet, because it's behind a bush, but I do see that it's a pattern of red and blue. I know that's nothing the boys had on, so at this point I'm focusing on trying to figure out what it is. As I'm scanning the bush, I start to realize it's a clown? I shit you not, my heart started pounding immediately. The clown in my eye is Locke. He's wearing a blue-red hat with a reverse pattern red-blue jumpsuit. I grab Sarah's shirt and immediately pull her upright, and she notices the man right away. He's smiling with a full face of makeup and has a huge knife. We both say nothing and start running as fast as our legs can take us. He begins to follow. We can hear twigs snapping and the ground crunching, but we're both booking it. We run through the front of the woods, through the side of the park, and end up on a dead-end street. Ian and Jimmy are 2 houses up from the end and see us running and are screaming what's going on. While running past, we scream a clown and they start laughing. We're still running, screaming for our lives, and finally make it to the middle of the street where Sarah's dad, Danny, is now running out of the front door because he hears us screaming. We meet Danny right at the beginning of the neighbor's house, and we were trying to explain what we saw, and he says, "Girls, stop it now. This is ridiculous. What are you even talking about?" As we're trying to catch our breath. By this time, Jimmy and Ian have caught up to us. We are crying and pointing and telling Danny again that we've seen a clown with a knife. Jimmy and Ian are laughing, and Danny is asking if people played a prank on us or something. About this time, an old yellow Pinto type of car comes up from the dead end of the park and pulls right up to the sidewalk of the yard we're in. Sure enough, plain as day, it's the fucking clown. No hat this time, but knife in hand, telling us to come here. Danny starts shoving us all towards the house, and he himself is scared and running now. The car drives off down the street. We get inside and Danny calls the police. We had to give statements, and the police patrolled the neighborhood and the park for a few weeks. We were never allowed to go on the park again, and a few months after that, the city started to clear out the woods, cut down many trees, and made a walking area that you could see all the way to the train tracks. My friend and I used to talk about this many times up until her death. No one would believe us had they not seen it as well. It was just so scary. I think they only got to see him because whoever it was had to go down to the dead end of the street and leave the neighborhood. Either way, this man was not afraid of us, nor the small group of people that gathered from our screaming. He very bravely stopped right in front of us as her father tried to comfort us and calm us down, all while flashing his knife. We're lucky to be alive, I feel. Had it been just one of us in the woods, which sometimes occurred, I don't think there would have been a group of 4 of us any longer. In the late 70s, my uncle was studying medicine at the University of Chicago. After a morning class, he decided that he would hitchhike back home to Lincoln Park on the north side instead of paying for a taxi. A man drove up in a Plymouth Satellite and offered my uncle a ride. The man looked pretty normal and seemed friendly, lighthearted even. So my uncle got in the car and they started driving toward Lakeshore Drive. However, once they got there, the man drove south on Lakeshore instead of north toward Lincoln Park. My uncle told the man he was going the wrong way and to turn around to head north. The man looked at my uncle, put his hand on his knee and said, "No, son, you're coming with me," and smiled a dark smile at him. My uncle froze in panic, and when they hit the traffic near the South Shore, he quickly unlocked the passenger door and ran away without looking back. A year or two later, on a cold December day, my uncle was having coffee in a cafe with my future aunt when he caught something on the TV that made his blood run cold. He saw the man that had picked him up from the school that day, the year before. He had been arrested for the suspected rape and killing of over 20 young men and boys. The man on the television was John Wayne Gacy, and he had removed the door handle off the passenger side door to prevent the men he picked up from escaping.